Hey everybody, and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. Today I wanted to revisit a topic that I've covered in a couple videos before, talking about Solo, a Star Wars story. I've gotten some comments that I feel need clarification, and also I wanted to give some updates about what I honestly think this film is going to make in its opening weekend, and also possibly any of the future weekends going past it as well. And so the first thing that I want to say is that all the stuff going on with John Campea, so this is a response to the video I made a few videos back where I called out John Campea because on Twitter, and I'll just pull it up right here just so that way, you know, I'm being honest and I'm just explaining what he said and what I viewed, what his, what he was saying as interpreting. So first off, D-Day Cobra, Jeremy of Geeks and Gamers made a comment saying he literally just made fun of fans that don't agree with him on Star Wars talk just this past week. Then they responded to him and he played the victim. Maybe do the slice bit of research before telling everyone to act like him. So Jeremy's pointing out that there was a case where he was making fun of and mocking certain fans, people who were not really on board with Solo, a Star Wars story. And so then John Campea responds, "No, but thanks for making things up." So again, it looks like that's up to interpretation there. But then he says, "I never insult people for liking something I don't, unless your reason for disagreeing is because you're a racist, homophobic, sexist, in which case I will mock you all day long because racism isn't an opinion, it's a cancer." Now, I don't think anyone's going to disagree with him on that point. Anyone that disagrees with the point of racists and sexists and homophobes not being good people, again, there's a special place for those people. But I don't think that's what we have going on here. Instead, what we have is John Campea, and someone on my comments recently said that, yeah, John's not really the best at being clear on Twitter and is probably not going to clarify this going forward. And I think that's a problem, though, because, again, going back to it, language is so important and how we talk to each other, especially when we disagree, because I just want to make clear, I have no personal problems with John Campea. I don't know the guy, so I can't make a personality judgment. What I can judge, though, is the language of this tweet, how it comes across to just the average fan, and why that is such a problem. And if you want more on my thoughts on language, especially when we talk to each other and various other things, please go back to my last video where I talk about this very tweet from John Campea. But I wanted to have everything out there. I wanted to have everything, out in the open. I, read his tweet. Take it as you will. I look at that and I see that as an insult. Some people don't see that. Again, I think it's wrong to kind of, in a way, throw a bunch of people who are against what he's trying to say into the same group of racists and sexists and homophobes, and to say such a thing, or to even imply that most people who are against Star Wars fall into this camp, is just disingenuous and just doesn't work logically especially when you compare it to other films. And so I've already gone on that tangent, so check out my other video if you want to see that. But the main purpose of this video is to actually talk about some box office numbers. So we are getting close to Solo premiering tomorrow night, and so we already have reports of people saying that the Thursday night screenings are not sold out. I think that focusing on one report over another is just not going to get us anywhere, because obviously there are certain areas where this movie is going to sell out. It is going to do very well. And there are other areas where this film is not going to do as well. It's not going to sell out. Again, the numbers will speak for themselves, so I'm not going to make a statement on, oh, the Thursday night numbers, the pre-order tickets are at this level. Again, that's all real speculation. Again, you can easily twist numbers by focusing on one location over another. But something that I do want to talk about, because it is getting a lot of press, is what people think the actual opening weekend numbers are going to end up being. And so let me just look up to Forbes. So Forbes is the most recent one. This is from Scott Mendelson. So he says here in this article, Star Wars box office, how low is too low for Star Wars? And so he says that the prequel has been announced, going from an estimate of 160 million to 170 million Friday through Monday. So again, this is a 4-day weekend total. And instead, it has now gone to something closer to 150 million. So the numbers themselves have been changing. This is what numbers do. They change constantly. So at first, we heard 160 to 170, and now we're hearing 150 million. And the question is then saying, or maybe as little as 135 million over the holiday. So now we have a range at this point in time, as far as the most recent estimates, 135 to 150 million for the 4-day weekend. Now, this is not a good thing for a Star Wars film. People, again, I'm not going to deny, That is a lot of money. I'm a teacher. Again, I understand this is a lot of money. I'm not denying that. But for a Star Wars film, this is not looking very good. The fact that Rogue One, so let me just, pull up those numbers real quick. So the fact that Rogue One, in its opening weekend, 3 days, again, it did open in December, so there were more people off. In 3 days, it made $155 million, roughly $155 million. This film is, at this point, on the high end, looking to make $150 million. Now, keep in mind, too, that Rogue One, this was just a year after The Force Awakens, so this was when Star Wars was at its peak. People were so excited for it. Again, Force Awakens had just made over $2 billion. People were really excited because now they were making solo projects. They were making independent stories, and so people were really excited for it. And even that film, in December, only made about $155 million in its opening weekend, which again is respectable. It's good, but it's nothing compared to the $200+ million that some of the other Star Wars films have made in their opening weekends. And so, when you have a film now with Solo, where you see the number is looking to be less, because honestly, if I had to make a prediction right now, I know it's going to be over $100 million. And I think because Deadpool's going to do well, and I think Avengers is still going to do well, and I think there's going to be enough backlash from people who are just fed up with this talk about Lando being a pansexual and just all this stupid political crap that's been thrown in by the writers, by Kathleen Kennedy, and by all these other people. I honestly think this movie is not going to make more than $140 million, personally. And again, I will go ahead, I will eat crow if I'm wrong. If it makes $150+ million, again, I'm not going to be surprised because this is this is Memorial Day weekend, and so it should be making a lot of money. However, based on these new estimates, what we see is that it's looking at low $135 million and high $150 million, and I will go somewhere in between saying after the 4-day weekend it's going to make 140. But keep in mind, that's 4 days. This is a holiday weekend. This movie should, if it was good, if it was getting really good ratings, would make over $200 million easy in this kind of market, in this kind of weekend. But it's not. And I feel like that speaks a lot to the product. It speaks a lot to what critics are saying about the film, and I think it's something that we need to all consider as well. So, again, to all the people out there who are leaving really disgusting comments, attacking me and attacking others for our own opinion of this, again, I have no problem if you have a different opinion. And again, you very well might be right. This film might make a lot of money. This film might be good. But remember, when it comes to films too, there is a level of objectivity, but there's also a level of subjectivity as well. And so I totally respect people who go to see this film, who see this film 3 times in theaters, who love this film. Again, I've had really respectful conversations with people who are on that end. But at the same time, for those of us who are being critical of this and are looking at the numbers and are just not really seeing the correlation here, I'm sorry, I don't see this being a film looking at the numbers. I can't see this being a film that's going to make a crap ton of money. Again, it's going to make money, but it's not going to make Star Wars money. Again, Star Wars movies make at least $1 billion, and I think this might be one of the first ones in a very long time. I have to look back at the prequels to see how much those ended up making, but it's going to be one of the first times in a long time where we're going to have a Star Wars film not break $1 billion. That's my own personal thought. I honestly don't think that's going to happen, and the reason why is because I think overseas it's going to be competitive with some other Star Wars film, because overseas crowds tend to be pretty consistent, but we have seen that when it comes to the American audience, we are easily swayed based on word of mouth. We are easily swayed based on public opinion, things like that. And so I don't think this movie is going to get very high ratings when the actual film gets released from audiences. And I think that when more critics come out, it's going to drop even further, because when we look to the scores at this current time, again, coming out this weekend, Solo is still hanging around a 71% from critics, which is not excellent, and is down to a 38 audience rating from on people who are actually interested in seeing this film. And again, yes, are there people driving down that score? Absolutely. But I go back again to the films I mentioned in my previous video. There are other movies where there were active people trying to drive down scores, actual racists, actual sexists, trying to drive down scores, and the numbers didn't get nearly to this level. Again, the last bad Star Wars film that we had at this level was the prequels, which most people will agree were not very good. There are some who will defend them. I am not one of them. But we're just not seeing a very good thing. Again, 116 fresh versus 47 rotten. So even that percentage is a little misleading slightly. So really it's almost at 50-50 when it comes to critics liking it or not liking it. And then when you bring in top critics, it goes down to 65% with 24 fresh and 13 rotten, which again is about an even split. And so what we really end up seeing, though, is that this film does not have a lot of good press going forward as far as its ratings and its initial reactions. It doesn't look like the tracking of the box office is looking very good for the film either. And I think that we could very well see this movie just not making the money that it should be making, not making its box office totals that other Star Wars films have made. And just to kind of give us a better understanding, so this is all from Box Office Mojo. So The Force Awakens opened to $247 million in its opening weekend, and that was in December. The Last Jedi made $220 million. Again, that was in December. Rogue One, $155 million. That was in December. And so again, that was a non it was still part of the canon, but it was a non-episodic film, still making around $155 million. And the last one after that is Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, when there was so much buzz around it. Even that only made $64 million. So I don't think that Solo is going to do that poorly, but when you look at it compared to Rogue One, I don't think it's going to make more than Rogue One. I have my own problems with Rogue One, but just based on the numbers, based on the estimates at this point, it's going to make less than that, and that's not a good direction to be going when it comes to Star Wars, because if it makes closer to that 135, that 140 that I predict that it probably will make, that's going to leave a lot of people worried about, okay, well, what's going to happen in the next episode? What's going to happen with Episode 9? Are the numbers going to drop? Are we going to have to actually start changing some things? Stop going in certain directions and come back in certain directions? I mean, it very well could happen because, again, numbers speak and the wallets speak especially. And since this film had a very high production budget and went through production hell to begin with, I think that this could easily be a film that ends up falling flat on its face. But again, that's just my opinion. What are your thoughts? Do you think that this movie is going to make bank at the box office? Do you think it's going to fail at the box office? Where do you think it's going to rank as far as the overall profit that the film's going to make? Again, I think that it's going to be like a Justice League. I think it could possibly only make $600-700 million total, which again, it's nothing to sniff at. It's not a small amount of money, but in comparison to the others, if you're around $400 million less than previous installments, that shows a drastic change and a drastic drop in interest, and that will easily affect them, hopefully, in how they go forward with Episode 9, and hopefully brings about some needed changes. But again, only time will tell. The foreign box office, I don't think it's going to change much. Again, it could, but I don't see it changing a whole lot, so that might be able to boost up the numbers in the end, but I don't think this film is going to reach $1 billion. And so, do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Please let me know in the comments below. And guys, please be respectful. I hate that I have to, hide comments and remove comments because people are just attacking me personally for nothing other than me having a different opinion than them. Again, I've had some really good conversations in the comments when people disagree with me. Please keep those coming. I want to have conversations. I want to have some back and forth. Again, I really enjoy talking about movies. I really enjoy talking about Star Wars. So please let me know. And please let me know if you've heard anything that maybe I've said that isn't accurate or something that I might need to look at. Send me links to certain things I might need to look at so maybe I can make a follow-up video. But again, please talk to me. Please let me know. Please rate. Again, whether you like it, dislike it, please give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. And also, if you like what you're seeing here, please subscribe because I really want to continue this and I really want to move this forward. So thank you guys so much for listening. And as always, God bless.